Top 10 worst games of 2023. This is gonna be exciting. Place your bets what we're gonna see here, boys.
Off with number 10, an obvious one that you will not be surprised by one bit. It's Skull Island Rise of Kong.
Obviously.
Published by the appropriately titled Game Mill. I'm sure you realize.
Wait, if this is just number 10, what else are we gonna see here?
This won't be the only Game Mill game we cover today. I probably didn't even need to say that, but same goes for just everything wrong with this game. You see it for about a second, and you...
I absolutely love how you can see that there was absolutely no effort put into this bad boy. It's just as good as it is. Someone put it together. They magically got the license to use this the King Kong intellectual property of the MonsterVerse, and they made this. It's a miracle. Honestly, the greatest success that Game Mill has is somehow probably mind controlling people and allowing them to use their IPs to just try and milk people.
Realize that, oh, this one's got problems. So besides being full of bugs and stuff, which that's pretty normal for games now, sadly, it's also not full of like basically anything else. This is one boring ass game. You play as interchangeable members of the Kong family from time to time, which the way I worded that made it sound way more interesting than it is. It's got...
I love that he's fighting just, giant crabs, and there you kind of go.
Really, really bad graphics.
Dude, you know what actually is kind of scary? It's the fact if giant crabs existed, they would literally, unironically, just crawl into our cities and then just beep, do that to us. Because their shells would be so tough that only specialized... So only specialized bunker-busting rockets would actually do damage to them. And man, that would be wild.
Way more interesting than it is. It's got really, really bad graphics. It's one of those games where you can say like, oh, hey, remember the Dreamcast and how it looked better than this? It proves that just pushing a decent amount of polygons, because I know that these Kong models have got more polygons than anything from the 90s, but it shows that that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. There's got to be some flair, some style, some art design, Speaking of the art design, remember how we can't really tell if Kong is supposed to be big or small because there's big trees and little trees? There's various things that indicate that he is a normal gorilla in scale, and there's various things that indicate he is a large gorilla in scale.
Okay, who's surprised about that, honestly? But yeah, I was gonna say this. That because nothing makes it seem like Kong's actually giant, except the fact that I know that Kong's supposed to be giant.
He's not consistent with its art design, which it's probably, reused assets, which isn't automatically bad, but there's just nothing here. Like, there's some platforming elements. They're bad. There's some combat. It's, I guess, okay for about 5 or 6 seconds. Once you've cleared through that first enemy and gone on to the second, though, the extent of its, capabilities. Also, the game is very short. It's
Okay, do I feel like we already know enough about this? I feel like we just skip to the next one.
And number 9 is The Day Before, which...
Classic!
We've talked about The Day Before. I would highly recommend you go to our videos about The Day Before
my videos are better.
Full breakdown of the problems here. But even when things seem to be going right for this game, I always had that spidey sense in the back of my head saying, we do our big game roundups every month. Go back to that for the month and you'll see that I'm kind of, it's coming out. Kind of surprised by that.
Oh man, The Day Before. Recently, we actually got to know what the dev story of this, and it's absolutely crazy. So, the funny part is, I was right about the fact that, the studio's closing down, and the owners of the studio are making away like bandits, boys. They're actually making away with millions. Everyone's cheering and being happy. Oh, The Day Before studio is shutting down. Ashes to ashes, bish. No, the owners of that studio are making away with millions, literally, in profits made. They're living the good life. And they completely abused all of the power that they could in that being the owners of their company. They made people miserable. They made bad working conditions. It was great. It was great for these people. As I said, the day before devs have absolutely just gotten away with everything like pure bandits. It's insanity. And word on the street is they're already trying to make a new game. A new mobile game. But admittedly, that I also said, it's gonna be a couple of months, 6, maybe a year, and the same people behind the old fantastic studio are gonna be just making a new thing like nothing ever happened. It is what it is, boys.
But also, I don't know about this one. And that turned out to be very kind, very generous.
Okay, let's see the next
one. It is The Walking Dead Destiny.
Oh, of
course. It's Game Mill. I told you we'd cover more than one Game Mill game. It's almost like they were just churning them things out
This is so crazy.
Indiscriminately. Like some kind of mill for games. In terms of
the funny part is, if you have stick to watching The Walking Dead past season 4, this game's not even that bad. This game is pretty much exactly how good the story has gotten over the years. I hate watched every single episode of The Walking Dead. It was beautiful. Every episode. Nothing made sense even on the most minute of levels. On the most largest of levels even nothing made sense. Usually every season of The Walking Dead, pretty much after like season 3 or 4, ended up exactly in this formula. Our guys meet new guys enemies, new guys really powerful, intimidating. Our guys are at the back foot. Then there's some kind of character development that is just pure puke-inducing. And then about when it's only 2 episodes left of the season and the writers still haven't tied everything and nothing together, and it's just, they're running out of time. In the last episode, for multiple seasons, you know what happens? The scary enemy that was always one step ahead of our guys and everyone feared just gets instantaneously removed in 20 minutes of the last episode without any problems. No problems whatsoever. It's usually like this. In the last 3 episodes, our guys split, they do some random shit, then they magically all come exactly together at the same point, and then they say, it's time to take the baddie out, and everyone's like, yeah. And then it's typically some kind of bad montage almost, and the bad guy just gets unceremoniously deleted in a matter of 10 minutes without any problems that they previously faced, without anything, and everyone's like, we won! Yeah, The Walking Dead was a shit show.
Complexity. I do have to say, there's a lot more going on in The Walking Dead Destinies than there is in Kong Skull Island thing. That doesn't mean it's good, though. This is a very repetitive game. They throw in a bunch of these wonky, goofy little decision systems at you to make it seem like there's a story. And to be...
The best part about this walking game is the fact that you can kind of tell which character it was supposed to be, but sometimes you can't. You can tell that this is supposed to be Rick, right? But can you really? And in some situations, you're blatantly not going to be able to tell that it's that character because it's just so poorly done. It's great.
Seem like there's a story. And to be fair, you can use it to do some interesting things, but it also kind of doesn't have particularly real consequences. Like if you don't kill a character that's, killed in the mainline story, and they just usually end up filling up some other character's role later, rather than being, somehow a new story branch where different things happen. Combat's bad, maybe a little better than Kong, but not by virtue of it feeling better.
This is a boss fight, by the way.
Skull Island feels a little bit better than this. However, this has firearms, and the firearms...
This is how Rick survived everything, because he's actually immortal. By the way, there's ironically a theory about The Walking Dead that Rick is immortal. because that's how far you need to now go in the Walking Dead universe to make any sense of the show. People need to make theories about how a character is actually immortal. It's great. And by the way, there's the Walking Dead spin-off series. There's the Daryl Nixon one, and he's in France of all hellholes on Earth for some stupid reason. And it makes no sense, by the way. I watched 2 episodes of it, and I'm not gonna lie. That is so bad, I can't even hate watch it. The Daryl Dixon show is so bad, I can't even bring myself to hate watching it. Because you know what happened? Like, teleporting zombies is one thing, okay? The main character opening a room that it's a literally 1 by 1 meter room, checking it like this, every nook and cranny, and then turning away and suddenly a zombie just gets teleported behind him from that 1 by 1 room that there's nowhere to hide, and he just jumps him from behind. That is acceptable at this point. But the fact that the Daryl Dixon show, the main character literally started teleporting in fights is insane. I mean, you have this situation where there's a group of people there in a circle, and the circle's pretty good. And Daryl at one point just gets behind them, just magically appears behind one guy, who you can blatantly see the 3 guys are looking at his direction, and he would never be able to sneak up because, you know, they concave him like this. And he just teleports and hits them. And then those guys all panic for some reason. All 10 people panic because he can teleport, I think. That's why they're panicking, because they have never seen teleportation before. And then he just teleports out of there some magically, how before he gets shot by the people with guns. That's how bad that series is. I don't know. I can't. It's so bad even I can't watch it.
Or are they a respite for a few moments until you realize that they don't get better? Then they're just kind of dull. The AI's bad. The graphics are bad. The performance, weirdly enough,
good.
despite the simplicity of the graphics, is also bad. Oh, you know what else is bad? Them cutscenes. And I'm not just talking about how, like, there's no animation. I'm talking about how bad they are. They are bad. Sometimes laughably bad. The lack of animation certainly contributes to that, but they're not acted well. They're very awkward. And then you throw in that animation, so there's no actual action for the most part. I mean, a couple of scenes are weirdly animated, but most aren't. Oh, yeah, and smoke is the same thing as grass. When it comes to stealth. I know that, you know, it's easy to criticize games for making tall grass essentially an invincibility thing, but smoke is much weirder as that, and they got it here as that. And number 7 is Redfall. All right, so now we're starting to get into our legitimate disappointments. Redfall is a game that Arcane Studios...
Currently, it's everything that we have covered and absolutely loved because of how bad it is.
Clearly didn't want to make. And I called it. There's a few, like, deep dives out there now about the creation of this game, and it ended up with a lot of people just leaving the studio straight up. It has irrevocably changed the makeup of Arcane Studios Austin. They are no longer the developers behind... You see, what this thing is some suit said, hey, you gotta make a live service game. All right? That's what you gotta do. You're Arcane Studios. You made Dishonored. You made Prey. You made Deathloop. You guys are friggin' amazing. If you make a live service game, it'll be infinite money for us forever. And they were like, all right, let's come up with ideas for this. And they're like, okay, vampires in town, that's kind of cool. That sounds kind of cool. And then they realized really quickly that it was not possible for them to make the kind of game that they wanted to make and have it be a live service game. So basically, morale was really bad, and a lot of people...
How? How can you fail at making a live service game? All you need is to add a cash shop and battle pass. There you go. It's a live service game. And a bunch of unlocks if you're super smart. There you go. It's a live service game. Deal with it.
People left. The result is this empty mapped weird combat, bad AI muck game. Like, from time to time, there's something cool in it. Like, the vampires I like. They got pretty decent designs. I guess that's kind of it. Like, I really don't remember a lot of other good stuff. This game, it's sad that it sucks, because honestly, it could have been really cool if it had just been designed as an arcane game. But, you know. And number 6 is Wanted Dead, a game that has a little bit more mixed of a reception than some of the games we have discussed.
What is this?
Kind of a throwback action game. Goofy as hell. This is one of those games that, like, I find it hard to hate. It sucks. Like,
dude, that's
hard.
some John
but I
kind
of love it, too. It is firmly set in that so bad it's good area. Everything about this is great. In terms of gameplay, there's some all right stuff in the combat. It's pretty repetitive, though.
I have not seen this at all.
And there's elements of it like checkpoint placement and other weirdness that, well, they firmly stop it from being good. The story is frickin' bizarre. I mean, if there is a game that could have been directed by Tommy Wiseau, the Room guy, oh boy, it's Wanted Dead. There's a weird charm to it, but it's very weird, and that charm does not come from, like, the fact that it's very well made at all.
That was
even
good.
a little. I don't know. In no way do I feel even a little bit weird about including this on a list of games that sucked. However, I also like it with a lot of obvious caveats. And number 5 is Crime Boss Rocka City, a game that sold itself on a star-studded cast. And, yeah, that's about what it has going for it. I'm not going to lie and say it doesn't have at least somewhat of a unique charm to it. Maybe the kind of weirdness you expect from a cheap B movie. Not quite so bad it's good. It kind of knows what it is, and it embodies that in terms of its aesthetic choices. However, the game sucks. The AI for, like, regular enemies, for police, it's bad. And when I say bad, I don't just mean like it.
Crime Boss Rocky City, yeah. Also, big hood is nice.
It's weak.
I have never heard about this. Also, wow. Wanted Dead. No idea what that is. No idea what this is. Were these games that had potential and people thought, oh wow, this could be cool, but it turned out to be a disaster? Because it kind of seems like it.
It is weak, but it often flat out does things that remind you, hey, there are games from 20 years ago that did AI, like, good. It's one of those. It's got that feeling to it. I mean, it basically tries to be this unique roguelike crime game, but it falls very short. When you have a game that just sucks, it doesn't really matter how fun and charming the celebrities are. And there are times when they're uniquely very much that. I mean, you know it's Crime Boss Rocka City the whole time. That's for sure. But everything else about it it sucks. Like, it looks like it should be like a Grand Theft Auto style game, right? And the marketing kind of leaned in. And number 4 is Lord of the Rings Gollum. I mean,
yeah, boy.
It certainly was.
Wait. Gollum is not number 1? That is crazy. Because there's literally nothing good about this. The studio who made this unironically shut down, and actually shut down because they've been bankrupt. This was a failure on every level imaginable. So you're telling me there's 3 things that are still bigger than this? Crazy, dude.
It wasn't the only high-profile game of the year that was so bad it caused the studio to close, but it's certainly the one that is set in the most beloved IP that no one wants to see ruined. Like, this is a game about Gollum, and it's not an action game, so you'd think, well, probably a good idea to explore the character of Gollum. You would think that, yes. That would be a thought. You're using your brain.
No one has in the first place ever said, oh gee, I really want to find out more about Gollum. He seems such an intriguing character that probably would be so fun to explore deeper. Yeah, no one has said that anyway.
There. Yeah, it's not that. You got a real bad, buggy crap fest where nothing happens. You don't explore the character Gollum. You're supposed to explore a bunch of really bland environments. A lot of bugs, a lot of technical problems. Don't really know what justified the length of the development cycle on this one. It very much feels like a game that was developed in about 8 months. And I'm talking like look, feel, objectives, AI, game.
Did you see that, by the way? The joke here is, by the way, that This is where the marker is,
8 months.
and it doesn't allow you to end the day.
And I'm talking.
And now you need to be in the center, but the marker is not in the center. The marker is a static marker, and it's here for some reason. But when you get near it, it doesn't actually allow you to end the day. You need to be in the middle for some stupid reason. That's just quality.
Talking like look, feel, objectives, AI, game loop. Like there's nothing that seems fleshed out or well done. There's a couple of like all right visual moments. Hooray!
Like?
And number 3 is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3's campaign. Not the multiplayer. The multiplayer's actually pretty great. Like the multiplayer. It's fine. And there's aspects of the Call of
Well, the multiplayer, some people are still complaining about it because it doesn't add anything really enough new. Is that the right way that people are complaining about it? I don't know. I'm not a COD player. But people are still complaining about it, that there's not enough new stuff. But it's just a reskin of the old multiplayer, so it can't exactly fail, you know? It's technically reselling people already what they had before.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 campaign that are nice. The production values are freaking incredible. In terms of the visuals, the animation, the actor performances, just everything about it looks, feels, and presents very well. But I mean, there's 2 prongs to what's wrong with this campaign. First off, it's very linear, and I am not somebody who normally criticizes linear as a problem. When a studio decides to go linear, it usually means they're going to use the resources to make the best possible linear progression of events they can. And that's not what happened here, at least outside of production values. It's kind of just dull, uninspired, doesn't have a lot of depth, very simple narrative, weirdly simple narrative, honestly. And then the second prong is the gameplay mechanics are pretty muddled. A lot of the time, you're kind of feeling like...
The story's pretty hilarious, honestly, at least from a perspective of someone who has never played COD, really. The story of the Modern Warfare 3 is essentially this, by the way. There's this evil guy called Makarov, and he escapes you like 4 different times, and then you need to catch him every single time. And there you go. That's the story. And sometimes there's bombs and whatnot. It's stupid.
You're supposed to choose between stealth and combat, and you're not really sure what you're supposed to do, and not in an open-ended way. Like I said, this game is very linear. If like either was a good choice, this probably wouldn't be the same kind of a problem, but it's not like that. You are supposed to do one of them, and it's almost never clear which one. I mean, it's just like in terms of gameplay, it's not cohesive at all, and in terms of narrative, it is not that interesting. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful game. It's just very, very clear that that's where the
Is it
went.
beautiful though?
And
I don't
number
know
2
about
is
that.
Forspoken, a game that has a mechanic that's
yeah.
awesome. They have this really cool way.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about Forspoken. It wasn't really suck. It was just disappointing, I think, and that's it. I don't know.
Of traversing a map. It's fluid and cool in a way. I don't know if I've ever seen anything exactly like it. I've seen things in the area of it, but that's kind of where the positives end. I almost don't even understand why that's in the game. It doesn't really figure into anything. It doesn't figure into the story. The traversal just doesn't matter to the character or the stakes that are established, which are supposedly significant, but don't feel that way. I mean, so I kind of want to make this point. The lore of the world of Forspoken is actually kind of cool, but if you've ever seen like a movie with overly expository dialogue, where they're just like constantly telling the viewer what's going on, that's what this game feels like. So it kind of squanders all that decent lore.
Like, look at this dude, though. Look at this dude. It looks like he's paralyzed, but at some points he forgets that he's paralyzed, so he slightly moves.
That's squanders all that decent lore.
Does our character have not perfect teeth? That's disgusting.
Really squandered is probably the
I mean, it's a fantasy character.
right word for Forspoken. They squandered a twist, squandered a parkour mechanic. Just a lot of squandering going on. Also, the name Forspoken on the surface level sounds like a decent descriptor, because the word means to cast a spell over or enchant, and you can actually apply that to the story in more than one way. Firstly, this woman from New York gets sucked into a dimension with magic. Secondly, she is.
Oh shit! They shouldn't have targeted New York. You know it's not gonna end well. She's probably gonna steal shit from the people in the magic realm. You know, you think you summoned your savior, but no, you actually summoned someone from New York, and now they're trying to pickpocket you, while you're explaining how they're supposed to save their realm. That's not good.
Bewitched by immoderate praise, another definition of forspeak, and that leads to the twist ultimately. But it's squandered is the right word. Squandered. That and holy hell, I am a millennial.
Also, why would you ever not choose to live in the fantasy realm forever if you were originally from New York? Isn't that like super counterintuitive to just vanish and never return? I mean, your chances are what, a fantasy realm where maybe you die because, you know, mindless aggression, or you live in New York where you definitely die at some point because mindless aggression.
But wow, am I tired of people talking.
Also, it smells like piss, so you know it is what it is.
Like millennials, or at least how millennials supposedly talk. All this quippy ass dialogue, enough of it. Stop.
A boomer complaining about how a millennial talks. And if someone again tries to correct me about boomers and millennials, I don't care. Boomer/millennial. There's only two things: millennials and boomers.
We don't really talk like that. What is that?
I just move shit with my freaking mind.
And finally,
sounds pretty accurate to me, what I understand from America. Okay, so what's gonna be number one, boys? Gollum's out. Skull Kong out, Redfall is out, Modern Warfare 3 is out. I don't know. Maybe it's that shooter game that got really. There's this one shooter game that I don't remember the name. Let's see if it's that.
At number one, it's Payday 3. This one is.
Oh no, Payday 3 was not even close to what I was thinking. Well. If I was going to put Payday on this list, it would probably be, you know, not number one, definitely. Even though Payday is a disaster, Payday 3 is a disaster. It's funny after the Act Ma'am shielded so hard.
Is a lot more painful to talk about than any of the other ones, in my opinion. The rest of them are, well, some of them are disappointing, but most of them are very obviously what they are. Payday 3, on the other hand, is a big improvement in gunplay and stealth. In terms of gameplay, it's the most enjoyable Payday game yet. It's great. The combat it's a lot more fun. The stealth is a lot more fluid. It feels more flexible. I mean, there's a lot of good to talk about. But the problem is, at least back when it launched, I don't really know exactly how it's going right now, but when it was launched, there's some pretty bad AI issues. The mission objectives are pretty uninspired, and there's not a whole lot of different heists. On top of that, there's a fair amount of technical jitters and weirdness, but they came in addition to massive server issues. Like a lot of games launch with some bad
The server issues were the worst thing. I don't know if they fixed anything, but Payday 3 is a little bit underwhelming for the number one spot. I would have put Gollum at number one. Gollum was definitely number one for me. And then number two would be definitely the day before. Well, anyway, that's pretty much it. That was Game Rings, boys. Good stuff. Anyway, this was Quizzer Citizen. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.